So last 2 weeks, does anybody remember what we have been talking about? At least one person? Audio. Never mind. We've been talking about Sloka 13 and 14 of chapter 2. And these are pertaining to mourning over the loved ones and getting disappointed. And why not to be disappointed? That is how Krishna has been advising Arjuna what to do. Now, little bit, I hope you're coming back to the class now. So, into Sloka 13, those who want to turn on the video, you may do so, but kindly not go back and forth, back and forth. So what I was referring to, in the Sloka 13, Bhagavan Sri Krishna is referring to how a human being is undergoing the bodily changes. So from young age to adult to jara, meaning old age or the diseased one. I think now those words you are recollecting. Young age, adult, and then old age. That's right. And in the 14th sloka, he's talking about how the sparsendriya meaning 5 organs of perception, eyes, ear, nose, tongue, taste, skin, how those 5 senses are perceiving the external world and identifying with them that is, or those are your world. And with that, I-ness and my-ness comes into picture. So understanding these 2 elements, but then toward the end of the sloka, Sri Krishna says that the wise man or dhira do not mourn because they know that these are the changes not happening with a human being per se, but happening with their bodies, physical body. And the body has to undergo this change. And at that time, we were also referring to, on a side, I might have gone tangential, that is on Ishavasya Upanishad, the word Jagatyam Jagat, how the world, everything in the world is undergoing the changes except your real self. And with this little understanding, still most of us are under the impression that those who are realized, we think that they may be knowing all the scriptures and all the wisdom from the scripture they must have derived. The only wisdom to be derived of is that you are not the body. And all of us, we may say, oh yeah, of course, I know I'm not the body. You know it, but do you experience it? If we would have known that we are not the body, then the gloominess, confusion, sadness, hot and cold, winter and summer, those are the words Sri Krishna is using in the 14th chapter, 14th sloka. So what is sukha and dukkha, happiness and unhappiness? What is winter and summer? Certain things, somebody we may like winter, somebody may like summer. So that leads us to the experience of like and dislike. So when it comes to matter of like and dislike, what everyone wants is whatever we like, we want, whatever we dislike, we do not want to hear about it. And if that thing the universe provides us, then we may say God loves me. And if disliked element comes to us and we feel unhappy, we say that the God hates me or God is punishing me. At this stage in the game, God never punishes. If there is God, first of all. Okay? So understanding this and slowly contemplate over, and every moment of changes within the body, outside the body, within the environment around you, everything that comes to us, sukha, dukkha, and heat and cold, when each one, either heat and cold, or happiness and unhappiness, when we are taking it as prasad, as a gift or a blessing, and that too with equipoised, if that seems to be a little harsher word, balanced state. So you are neither energized with your success, nor you are depleted with the energy when the failure happens. And failure and success has been determined by our mind. And mind is the one that is the biggest barrier. At the same time, do not hate the mind, because without the mind, we cannot even survive. But the problem happens is we let the mind be the master and not us be the master. So few hints, few sadhana, I will even call it, is that whenever you get overjoyed with happiness, back out a little bit. And I'm not saying don't enjoy it, but let that enjoyment do not overpower you. And the same thing with sadness, particularly in this 13th and the 14th sloka, the aspirant or the sadhaka cries over the death of the beloved one. And the same thing you can apply to loss of the element or the things that you like. And the other thing which you wanted to lose, but they do not leave you, they hang around with you. And for that, all the time, jokingly, I use the word mother-in-law. Mothers we like, mother-in-law we don't like. So every time, and at the same time, some of us can argue, but Swamiji, you don't know, my mother-in-law is so mean, while my mother is loving. Granted, who decided whether mother-in-law is mean and mother is loving? What is your definition? And that too, again, your mind decides. So those are the events at that time one has to observe. One has to do the sadhana. So every step in the life, one has to keep on looking as to what makes me happy and what makes me unhappy. That part, almost every one of us, we love our mother, we love our father, we love our beloved one. And anytime when they leave the world, we feel that the sky is fallen over us. Because from the day one, we were developing the awareness that they will never leave us. Who has decided that? You think God has decided? And then we say that God does this. Many years back, I had a retreat in Phoenix, Arizona, 4 days. And one night it so happened, I think it was the first night, we were sitting and 2, 3 girls came and they wanted to have some talk. And exactly on this matter, that ever since I lost my mother, I have no faith in God. Understand? So it was a deciding factor that if God is there, then my mother must be saved. If God is not there, or the God punishes me, then this will happen. And she was saying that she was undergoing a lot of tapa austerity, that on certain day she will not eat, or she will eat only one food, and she will discipline herself. But that way she was telling me that she is pleasing God so that God may take care of my mother. So it's a kind of a business relationship. So if I give Chandrasekhar $100, then he will get me some good books. That's the exactly transaction. So what is the difference between a businessman and us? We all undergo, mind you, I am also not an exception. But the situation needs to be studied. Like and dislike, raga and dvesha, they're so fundamental parts of our life. That doesn't mean it cannot be looked at, mind you. And the reason raga and dvesha comes into picture, we have discussed this, and I'm still going to remind because it is so important. and that is feeling insufficiency. Something is not right. Something is less. You want more and new. Ask yourself, are we undergoing this? Every one of us will be under the impression. Today, I have a Honda car, which is 10 years old now. Still working, but I may feel that now Tesla seems to be a better car. So I feel that since Tesla is not there, I do not have the right car. I have just 2-bedroom house. And if some guest comes, what will happen? So I feel is a lack of a room for a guest to come. He or she may not have room to place, room to sleep. So lacking something, insufficiency. The other day, Corona vaccine, everybody was taking it. But Maheen, being so mean, she didn't even inform me that some such hospital is doing it. I had in my mind that Maheen should have or must have informed me. Since that was not done, I started disliking her. And if I keep on contemplating on dislike, some point in time I may hate her because I kept on contemplating. Maheen is nodding her head. I will never do that. Anyhow, it's a bad example. So the point, dear friend, lacking, insufficiency, asantosh. When we don't have gratitude of whatever we have, all these factors come into picture. How much time our mother has spent with us, and that gratitude, that love we don't understand. But since he died at the age of 115, God was so cruel. What? And in that sense, I mentioned a good friend of mine, and this is so much to be understood, dear friend, because this Sloka 13 and 14 are mourning over the death. These are specifically selected so that we be content, equipoised, and do not get affected. If I have told you this little real story, tell me, I will stop. Otherwise, it's a short one. A friend of mine from Bangalore, he lost his mother. And at that time, he was pretty young, so he will not stop crying. So finally, his father said, "Hey, how old are you?" So he says, 15. How old is your mom? How old was he? Was she? So she was 30 plus 15, so whatever, 45. Okay, so the difference remains 30. And now, father asked, how old are you now? So he says 60. How old, if your mom would have been alive here, would have been 75. So when she left the body at 75, you were not happy. But now just understand, when your mom would have been 230 years, how old you would have been. So he says 200. Okay. So he says, right now you are 60. when you were 15, what a energy and stamina you had. Do you have the same thing now? So can you imagine that at 60, you don't have this energy? What would you have had at the time when you be 200? And when you would not have that powerful energy, would you think your mother would have been at 230? How miserable could she be? Do you want your mother to be miserable? And ever since, he stopped crying. And he said, Sonaji, the day of my father's advice, I will never forget. So what it is, again, here the point is feeling insufficiency, no matter what it is always less. That point is to be extremely well understood. And still one more point I would like to mention about beloved passing away. In the field of universe of vibration, do you know that your greed of parental love is making them miserable? Whereby, in their further journey, they want to leave and take a new body. But at the deathbed, when you are crying, you are holding to him so that he may not leave this body. So what is the best thing one can do is realize and willingly put a hand on your heart and one hand on his or her head and tell us, says, Mom, I let you go. And that has to be genuine. Don't, on one side you're crying, Mom, I let, no. Genuinely you mean it because you truly love her. You want her to progress in her life the way a child would progress. So this one, again, is referring to the Sloka 14. Even though this is not directly mentioned in it, but I think it is my duty to mention to all of us and start preparing yourself. Every funeral you go to, everybody else passing away, when they do that, you heartily let them go. And sometimes it's not necessarily that per our definition, the diseased person may not be old. Sometimes maybe 30, 40 years old. But even at that stage too, if his body is not fit for this life, he has no choice but to leave the body. So at that time, have we developed that courage to say that I let you go, my son? Even though I'm your father, and I'm much older to you, and the common average understanding is that elderly people go and younger people remain. But that is the common feeling. That doesn't mean that the truth is different. So anyhow, I will take one or two more sloka if you would like, and if you have to argue with me, and I welcome it, because you don't have to buy everything, because I may learn something out of your experience too. So if you have something to share, you may kindly turn on your mic, and if not, I take you to the next sloka. Next sloka is also on a parallel line. Anybody? So, okay, good. You are all clear. Thank you. And later on, if you do come across, let me know. So, the next sloka, let me no, it's too far. Okay, so we did do Matra Sparsha Dehino Kaumara Yavanam Jara. Okay, so okay. Let us listen to the
न जायते म्रियते वा कदाचित् न्यायं भूत्वा भविता वा न भूयः अजो नित्यः शाश्वतोऽयं पुराणो न हन्यते हन्यमाने शरीरे
Nahanyate Hanyamane Sarire. Nobody can destroy anything, and when the body gets destroyed, the spirit does not. So let's just see, the soul is neither born, nor does it ever die. No jayate miryate va kadachi. Kadachi, never ever. Hello? Nor having once existed, nayam bhutva bhavita vana bhuya. Does it ever cease to be? Once existed, and that again is not talking about the body, it's talking about the spirit, the soul, the Atma. The soul is without birth, ajo, all right, ajaha, unborn, nitya, eternal, saswat, saswat, ageless. It is not Purana, the ancient one. Nahanyate hanyamane sarire. So is not destroyed and is sarire. When the body is destroyed, the spirit does not get destroyed, or it cannot be destroyed. In other words, it is eternal. And that spirit need to be understood every death that happens. I will take one more sloka with it, and then will go back and forth with both. Let us.
वासांसि जीर्णानि यथा विहाय नवानि गृह्णाति नरोपराणि तथा शरीराणि विहाय जीर्णा न्यन्यानि संयाति नवानि देहि.
As a person said, worn out garment, Vansasi Jirnani. Jirna means to get old, get worn out. Okay? Vansasi, the clothes, the apron. Yatha Vihaya Navani. Yatha, like that. Similarly, Vihaya, shades, Navani, new, Grihanti, except Grunati, Naro Parani. So the old one, as the person says, worn out garment and wears new ones, likewise, at the time of death, the soul casts off its worn out body and enters a new one. All right. Let me so in the Sloka 2020, he's talking about that there is no past tense, there's no present tense, there's no future, and it is birthless, deathless, eternal, immortal, ageless. So that need to be understood. So anytime when we say, oh my God, he passed away when he was 30, 30 was his bodily age, but he was ageless, eternal. And that wisdom is not going to come just overnight. Every death that takes place, let me come out. So a few things, every time, whenever we go to a funeral home, or even if we hear the eulogy that some such event take place, sit quietly and genuinely remind yourself that some such person cast off the garment, the old body. And the old body can be 5 years old, or 50 years old, or 100 years old. But it is still the old body which cast off. So that need to be understand. And the previous sloka says, Atma, the true self, was never born and will never die. So Jagatyam Jagat does not apply to spirit. And the reason it does not apply to the spirit, because it is not undergoing changes. Jagat meaning that Jagata, Ja means to germinate, Gata means motion, or the Gati, changes, where the changes are continuously born. So spirit, Brahman, Atma, soul, awareness, all those words, they are eternal. They are ageless. They never die. They always were. They were never born. They will never die. So these need to be contemplated over and over and over. Two other words I would also like to leave with all of you today, and those are: we have studied, and we will study, and we will study. Those two words are object and subject. Your body is the object, but your true self is the subject. And why am I saying so? Because object can be identified, but the subject cannot be. What would you identify the subject with? Yeah, as soon as you describe or feel it or see it or smell it or touch it, that means it is other than you. Anything you feel like it. You can say, go and hug your mom, and you can still say, mom, still, her body is the object. Because you could tell that she is your mom, and you are not your mom. So anything that you describe is object. If you recall, those of you who were present at the time of Shivoham, we had quite a discussion on subject and object. Object is other than you. And you mean not the body. You mean not your name. You, the spirit. And that awareness needs to be contemplated over and over and over. And still on this one, if you happen to have an hour and 15 minutes, I will highly recommend one video, which you can find it on YouTube, by Swami Sarvapriyananda, and it is on two birds. Two birds by Swami Sarvapriyananda. Pay full attention and observe it. What a way of describing that is from Mundaka Upanishad. You don't have to worry about it, but that is so powerful. And it being powerful, it will guide us so that subject-object could be understood very well. And our bodily attachment to ourselves as well as that of our family people, family members, or our beloved can be detached. Because this story of two birds continuously digested. And as the time will keep on coming, I'll be guiding you and giving you what you can do. And prior to it also, I don't know how many of you had chance to Advaita meditation by Swami Sarvapriyananda. The two videos whose link I have sent, and those will be little heavy duty, so understand, but that you may need to see it 2 or 3 times to understand. Some of you can understand very well, but it took me 4 times to see that video for me to understand. But anyhow, so the point to be understood, I will summarize it today. That is the word Jagatyam Jagat. everything is changing. Secondly, when a person dies as if he or she is changing the clothes. The internal person, that is, the true spirit, remains the same, but the body changes. And that we have to keep on working on it, explaining to ourselves. Sooner or later, those days will happen. Thirdly, the spirit is ageless, is never born, it will never die, it is eternal. And lastly, we just now talk about is the subject-object relationship. Anytime, anything which you can describe, that means it is object. Anything that has shape, that means this is an object. In the further sloka, it will come that anything which you can slice with an instrument or a knife, it is an object. Anything that you can wet with water, it is an object. Anything that can be burned with fire, it is an object. Anything that can be dried with the wind, that is an object. That is coming out to be the next sloka. Nainam sastrani chindanti.
Nainam dahati pavaka.
That sloka will be coming, which is very popular, very dear to me as well. But at least next time, I will earnestly request, please don't disappoint me that nobody knew what we did last time. Okay? Because these are the things to be contemplated. Bhagavad Gita is not, oh, I finished the whole Gita. Yes, you did. Then what? So, sadhana, our spiritual path is this. We have to study, contemplate, sravanam, mananam. And that aspect of study, I'm going to request Swami Advaita to talk on this matter, because I don't think any one of you have any question from Thursday yet. So that will be very, very interesting. So make sure on the last lecture, at least, all of you be present. Okay, any question? Now, Maheen seems to be ready. Oh, Bindu is ready. Go ahead. No, or Jagannath.
Sonaji, I just have a question. I know you said you're going to talk about it next week, but as you were saying that anything that can be wet by water or that's blown by the wind, when you think about it, I know human body is one, which has all those components, but what about Earth? Earth also has a shape, planet Earth.
What about what?
Earth. Earth.
Oh, Earth.
It also has shape. It gets wet with water. So it's also changing all the time.
Right.
So will it exist forever? I was just suddenly thinking about it. That's it.
Okay. It's a good question. Now understand, when we say it exists forever, millions and billions years of age in the spiritual zone is nothing. It is still undergoing the changes. Okay?
Yeah.
So that way you can even look at the galaxies too. Earth is nothing as compared to galaxies. And I mean galaxies. Good question. And this is how our mind will take it. Our mind cannot fathom what is infinite.
Yeah.
Okay?
I think Bindu was referring to a body getting wet and body getting dry and body getting destroyed. It is still an objective aspect. What Swanaji was saying about Nainam Chandati Sastrani, it is about the soul, Atma. Am I right, Bindu?
Yeah, that's yeah. I was talking about the physical aspect because objects get, I mean, they eventually go away. You know what I'm saying? The form gets changed. So when you relate that way with Earth, that's the reason Earth is always constantly changing. I mean, this is just, I was just thinking of something. I don't know, it's not relevant, but.
No, I think I understand. You may be confusing between your body dissolving into the earth.
Yeah.
Okay? No, body is body. Body, can you describe it? Body, can it have a shape? Nama, Rupa, Vyavhara, those are all objects. And can you say that is your body you? Or your
No.
body is other than you?
That's what I'm understanding now, that I'm not the body. I'm the one that make my body do things like seeing and hearing.
That's right. Sweetheart, keep on contemplating. Okay? So many times, millions, billion times, you have to remind yourself. Because for years and births together, we have bombarded ourselves that I am the body. Okay, and Nainavan, you have some great question, I know. That's why you turn on the video.
It's not a question, but I'm thinking a lot and studying and attending these kind of lectures. You know, it's so easy to understand this non-duality, duality, and subject and object, everything. But still, it is a knowledge, but it is really hard to put it into practice when the time comes. You know, I had a friend. She lost her husband when she was young, and these are her exact words, that I'm going to lose I don't have any faith on God. You know.
Mhm.
And you don't tell her anything at that time. You know, she has a consequences of her husband's body left. You know, she has to raise now 3 children by herself.
Mhm.
So the body has a relations, and all our relations are with somebody's body from the begin with. So it's really, really, really hard, you know, to put this knowledge into practical, you know, even for somebody else's death or somebody else's death in the family. That is what my thinking every day, how to deal with that. You know, you cannot tell somebody at that time, you know.
This is,
Or even my time, you know, if it happens to my family, I will have a hard time, you know.
this is not for anybody else. Spirituality is a singular journey. You have to keep on contemplating, keep on washing away all those vasanas. And if you, let me tell you, Nainavan, and everybody, it is hard. But if you would have never, ever even heard once about this kind of Gita's essence, then it will be even harder.
Yes.
Okay? So And this is still the time. We have, until now, we have never paid attention to this. We have been undergoing from Kaumarya, youth, and Jara, one after another. We were always busy with either studying, then getting married, having children, sending children to good college and getting them married and whatnot. We never had time for this kind of contemplation. So time is now, and yes, understand, I am fully with you. And if anything I could do, and all of us could do, we should do it. Okay, if nothing else, for our own self. Good question, Mainavan. I am with you. I understand. Nothing is easy. But at least to what power, now this is a warning, to what power we have been calling God, and how we were spending time, and what time we need to spend now to think, what is that divine element? And we have been busy doing business with the divine one.
Sonaji,
G.
everything you talk about, we ask that are attending all this. I'm understanding, I'm contemplating, but people, as my mom, who's in nursing care right now, they don't know. She doesn't know about these things, and for her right now to surrender to whatever it is that she's going through right now and get through it, it's very difficult. She doesn't understand why this happened to her. She's 93, and she said, if I've fallen, why didn't I die? What is this in between thing? So how do I deal? I tried to tell her to just surrender and take it one day at a time, and we love you and we are here, but it's not easy for her.
Okay, sweetheart, it is not easy. We understand it, and that is exactly what I told Naina about it. Her case and your case, very parallel, I think different. But that need to be kept on telling us, not your mom. Your mom is not going to make, to her, it's not going to make any difference. But at the same time, just keep giving her love, keep giving her good thoughts. Okay? Mom, don't worry, I'm here with you.
That's it.
Okay, I will take care of you.
Assurance.
Yeah, that's it. And you have loved me. You have taken such a good care. And so keep reminding her of all those good days, good years.
Yeah.
Okay.
I wish she would know more about this because they would make it much easier for her to go through this hard time.
The same thing you apply to yourself.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
as you're telling for your mom, it would have been easier. So we make ourselves in that spot, and let us make it easier for us at least.
Yeah.
Not necessarily for your death, but the situation happening, and to accept that situation. All right.
You go there with full integrity and pass on the vibration to her. Don't show grip on your face. Maybe just you understand this and pass this in terms of vibration, I say. That's all.
I do. Thank
Hari
you.
Om.
Hari Om.
Yeah.
Will,
Oh, I need to ask you something.
sure, Bola.
Just
wait those of you can.
okay.
Yes.
I was wondering about the soul and Atma, as you said, spirit that is there and the body lives. But where are the, nobody's seen it. How do we know it's there?
And it's a beautiful question. It's a beautiful question. As soon as you could see, this is an object. It is not an object. It is a subject. And if you could see, that means you could see here, you could not see there. That means it's not omnipresent.
But then why people believe it's there? I mean, soul is around, spirit is around. I mean, it's just
Whether people
okay.
believe, please, whether people believe or not believe, it is a matter of, let me tell you this, go and see those 3 videos that I was talking about from Mr. Rupianandas. Okay? And this can be a great question to Swami Advaitanandi, I think March 17th or when is it? Okay.
Yeah, 17.
That's right.
I
And
was going to tell Bindu to give her some piece or understanding. There is a video on YouTube about how the earth came to being, and that will kind of clear your mind about being object or subject, the earth. So I looked at that and it was amazing.
anyhow, yes, this is not that easy, Nilaben. But yes, I will, whenever we go either on a small one-day retreat or so, we can justify the time. Okay?
Thank you.
Sure.
Hari Om.
Hari Om.
Hari Om. Happy
Hari
Valentine.
Om.
Happy Valentine Day.
Happy Valentine, everyone.
Oh, so many lovely people with lots of love pouring all over the place.
Yes.
Oh, we have flood in.
That's all.
We have flood in the river of love.
Yeah.
A big flood here.
And guess what? My mouse again. There's not. Hari Om.
Mine with the
Hari
red.
Om.
Hari Om.
Hari Om.
Good night, everyone.
Good night.
Namaskar, right?
Hello, Madhavai.
Somebody wants to see the Atma.
Yeah.
Maybe you can do some magic to show them Atma. I know.
We all are included in it.
I know.
Vastu jevi છે.
ભગવાન પોતે કે નૈનમ છંદતિ શસ્ત્રાણિ. ભગવાનનું સાક્ષાત ગીત છે. બીજા બધા તો ઋષિ મેં લખ્યા, તો ભગવાન પોતે ગાયું છે. ભાઈ તો ગુરુવાર તો મળાશે નહીં.
જેમ થાય એટલું કરવાનું.
ના ના બસ બરાબર છે. ના બસ આ અમૃત છે ને બોલાવીને જસ્ટ સમજતા જવાનું છે ને બધા